Welcome to Space
Erased,
the NASA Fraudcast. I'm your host, Chris.
and I'm Rachel.
And welcome, everybody, to episode 109. We're going to call it PSYOP 101, Part 1. How you doing tonight, Rachel?
I'm great. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. Hopefully we won't get into too much trouble with this one. The topic PSYOP always kind of conjures up an interesting response from folks in the conspiracy movement there, but we promise we're not trying to step on anybody's toes here, so we'll try to be respectful of everybody's opinions. All right, so without further ado, let's hop straight into the news. January 28th, just a few days ago, was a day of remembrance. It happened to be marking the 30-year anniversary of the Challenger disaster, which happened in 1986. According to NASA, just 73 seconds after launch, a booster failed and caused the shuttle Challenger to break apart, taking the lives of all 7 crew members. Specifically, it was a leak in one of the 2 solid rocket boosters that ignited the main fuel tank, which is that big orange one in the middle there. And that was all she wrote for the crew there, unfortunately. That was STS-51L. President Ronald Reagan eulogized the crew, quoting from the poem High Flight. He said, quote, "We will never forget them, nor the last time we saw them. This morning, as they prepared for their journey and waved goodbye, and, quote, slipped the surly bonds, rather, of Earth, to, quote, touch the face of God."
I would love to hear from our viewers who might have been alive during that time and see if they recall, because Reagan says we saw them, the last time we saw them was this morning. I'd love to see if our viewers recall seeing on TV the rocket take off and then hearing breaking news later that it had ended in tragedy.
Yeah, so, I mean, anybody in that 40 years old or older group, let us know in the comments section below. I'm guessing, you know, from what we hear, that's kind of like the 9/11 of the 80s, basically. Like something that scarred the memory of the people that saw it on television. It was a sad event. As a former, NASA nerd, it was a big deal to me. But now, well, we'll get into that in a moment here, why that might be different. One thing that I did learn when I researched this back in the day was that the news always writes 2 stories. One for if the launch is successful, and one for if the launch is not so successful. They have both contingencies covered, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Are you going to say their names?
Oh, yeah, that's right. The crew list here for the 86 Challenger mission was, the commander was Francis R. Scobie. The pilot was Michael J. Smith. Mission specialist Judith A. Resnick. Mission specialist Ronald E. McNair. Mission specialist Ellison Onizuka. Payload specialist Gregory B. Jarvis, and the most notable member of the crew was the first teacher to fly in space. That was Sharon Krista McAuliffe. In fact, she actually had a lesson plan to present the kids in her class from outer space that she never got a chance to do, which is kind of sad. But you'll feel a whole lot better about that in a moment, because here's the twist. As some of you may have already heard by now, we have it on pretty good authority that the Shuttle Challenger astronauts are still alive, which is pretty crazy. I heard this rumor about 6 months ago on a Facebook post of all things, and I did some digging. And the resemblance of these found individuals is so uncanny, it's worth a look. So take a look, everybody.
I think the most uncanny is the bottom row. Everyone matches up. The guy on the far left, his smile's the same. The guy in the center, his eyes are almost identical, kind of slanted downward and kind of further apart. And then the guy on the right is an identical match to, what he's supposed to look like now.
So on the bottom row, on the left side, you've got Michael J. Smith. In the middle, you've got Dick Scobie, Richard Scobie. On the far right is Ronald McNair. Top left is going to be Ellison Onizuka. The woman next to him is going to be, that's Krista McAuliffe. The gentleman next to her is going to be Gregory B. Jarvis, and the woman on the far right is going to be Judith Resnick. They couldn't find any information on Gregory B. Jarvis, so he may have passed away of natural causes, or he just might be better at hiding than the rest of them. And here's why. NASA either is very lazy, or they take us as American citizens to be extremely dumb, which I kind of take as an insult. Because take a look at this. They really didn't even change their names hardly when they went into hiding. The first one, Ronald McNair, changed his name to Carl McNair. Currently, he's an author, he's an educational speaker, and he started a foundation for his deceased brother, quote unquote, because he's trying to pull it off like he's the brother of the deceased astronaut, but we all know the truth. Then you got Dick Scobie, who changed his name to Richard Scobie, very creative. He's the CEO currently of a marketing company called Cows and Trees. And the interesting thing about that is when you look at his website, the logo looks a whole lot like the smoke cloud left behind in the Challenger accident, which is crazy. So if his website is still up, I would love to. I'll grab like a screen cap of that, and we'll toss it up here for everybody to see. Then you got Michael J. Smith, also very creative. He changed his name to Michael J. Smith. He's a professor at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. You've got Judith Resnick, who is still Judith Resnick. She's a Yale law professor at Yale University. You've got Kristen McCullough, who changed her name to Sharon McCullough, which is actually her first name anyways. She is a professor at Syracuse Law School.
So both of the women are law professors.
It's kind of interesting,
I would note
right?
that, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what... they all got pretty good jobs here, except for this gentleman. No, I'm just kidding. Ellison Onizuka changed his name to Claude Onizuka, and currently he's the Department of Liquor Control head in Hilo, Hawaii. Kind of an interesting...
That's a good job, too.
Yeah, so if you
He's
need
the head of
access to booze on the island, he's the man to go through. And then Gregory B. Jarvis, like we said before, he's not found. So if you guys have any information on him, let us know, and we'll add it to the program here.
That'd be exciting if one of our viewers knew him.
That'd be pretty sweet. And that's why we've started this program, is to create a community and get like a web of communication going so we can find more answers together. We are way more powerful as a group than any of us are as individuals. So we believe this story surfaced as the result of the work of a man named Simon Shack from a very, very cool website called cluesforum.com. He believes that 6 of the 7 astronauts are still alive, and he makes a pretty strong case for that. Yeah, so here's our...
So cluesforum.com, not .info?
Oh, you know what? My bad. Good grab. It's cluesforum.info. And let me tell you, that is a very cool website. I actually just stumbled upon that today. Possibly one of my favorite forums I've ever seen. They've got a little bit of everything. Some 9/11 stuff. They've got NASA stuff. Everything from the ISS hoax to shuttle hoaxes, moon landing hoax, everything. It's very detailed, and the threads will take you all over the place. They'll give you really cool links to a bunch of different websites, so definitely worth checking out. So here's our video synopsis of the actual video of the Challenger explosion. You've got some really odd reactions from different people, including Kristen McCullough's parents. They're still looking up in the sky after the explosion happened like nothing happened. It's really odd. You'd think that they'd have their heads in their hands crying, or at least reacting somehow like their child just died, and they really don't. There's a moment where they do, but I'll get into that in a moment. Their names are Grace and Ed Corrigan, and they're remarkably composed for 2 people that just lost a child. The father even starts smiling at one point, which is really odd, and then the mother starts smiling right after him, which is like, dude, what's going on? Like the audience reaction is also really suspect. Doesn't match. One woman actually has like a face of duper's delight, which is something I think we talked about on another episode where, somebody's telling a lie and they start smiling because they're like, I'm getting away with this, Then they cut to this contrived chaos scene, which really is just like somebody moving the camera quickly to make it seem like chaos is going on, but pay attention. Look at the video. The people aren't freaking out. Some people are crying, but the sharp camera movements make it look more chaotic than it is. People are still looking in the sky way after the shuttle hits the water too, which is odd. I don't get that. A channel called Russian Vids, which I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with. He theorizes that the crowd is composed of crisis actors, which may be one of the first televised use of crisis actors back in the day, which is kind of interesting. You hear people screaming in the video, but you see people laughing and smiling. And I think as actors, they must think the scene is over or something like that. Like, hey, everybody, time for wrap. He also theorizes that it was a large firework that went off instead of the shuttle exploding, which I thought was kind of interesting. My personal theory is that the crew, you see them all walking down the sidewalk thing or whatever, waving and smiling before they board. I don't even think they boarded the shuttle. I think they probably took a bus out of there or something like that. It was like a bait and switch or something.
Wow.
The people are not squinting, it looks, that's a common kind of debunk kind of thing for this deal, where they're like, oh, these people aren't smiling. They're just squinting because they're staring in the sky. No, these people are laughing and smiling. It's clearly acting.
Do you see the astronauts board the rocket ship?
No, you don't.
No.
In fact, after the rocket takes off, it cuts to another shot. So it could be a completely,
Oh, wow.
it could be a firework,
Yeah.
just clever editing. There's also a voice on a loudspeaker that comes up, and once that voice starts speaking, then you see the parents start crying, which is also odd. It's like they're on cue. Kind of reminiscent of Robbie Parker and his wife right after the Sandy Hook incident there. They were
Yeah.
interviewed on CBS together, and they both kind of looked at each other and smiled.
Yeah.
Very odd. It's a form of subtle mockery. These people know what they're doing, and they know they're getting away with it, so they're kind of laughing to each other, which is totally annoying for us people that can see straight through that. There's also a Hollywood scene in Transformers, the movie, where Shia LaBeouf says, "What happened? I saw your ship blow up," and the bad guy says, "We were never in the ship. We designed it that way." And that's Hollywood mimicking real-life events to, again, mock us. They know what's up, and they're not going to tell us. So anyways, let's get on to the main subject matter of the evening here, episode 109, PSYOP 101, part 1. Like a lot of our other part 1s, I'm going to just get into the background here, get everybody up to speed, get everybody on the same page. We know that this is a difficult topic, and we might step on toes, so I'm going to do my best to avoid that. In fact, the reason I'm tying these two subjects together is because I think that we could make a pretty good case on this program that the astronauts in the NASA space program that are being used in the ISS and on the shuttle missions, I think they're PSYOP soldiers, and we'll get into that here now. Military.com defines it. Here's like the PC definition of PSYOP. They said it's the dissemination of truthful information to foreign audiences in support of U.S. policy and national objectives. It's used during peacetime contingencies, which I looked up. That's military operations commissioned by the Secretary of Defense, and declared war. These activities are not a form of force, but are force multipliers. That's they use non-violent means in non-violent and often violent environments. So it's used as an additive deal with the military. They can kind of soften the enemy before they even go there, and sometimes they don't even have to fire one bullet, which is kind of neat.
Just by getting to them psychologically.
Yeah, you just you might be able to convince the enemy that they don't want to fight you in the first place.
Wasn't there? I want to say there was this thing that was used in war. I don't know if it was something that was dropped down on the soldiers or a psychological means, but they were trying to get the soldiers to all be homosexual.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that as well. They used saltpeter in World War II they added it to the soldiers' food to to drop their sex drive, so they wouldn't be thinking about women. They'd just be thinking about combat, which, I don't know if that worked or not, but it's a proof right there that's declassified now years later that the military does screw with the food and the medication of soldiers to test things on them oftentimes before.
If anybody's seen Jacob's Ladder too.
I don't think I've ever seen that. What's that?
Jacob's Ladder, I want to say they gave him LSD or...
That's something that actually happened, yeah.
It resulted for the main character, what's his name? He's in Shawshank Redemption. Timothy...
Oh, Tim Robbins?
Tim Robbins. Yeah. He's getting flashbacks and basically this was administered to the soldiers to make them combative and extremely violent and, to go to war and have nothing else on their mind.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
And fighting and war.
Well, that's like the men that stare at goats and stuff like that. That whole post Operation Paperclip deal where we brought the Nazis back to serve for the United States. They did all sorts of crazy psychological stuff, and I'm sure that's where the PSYOP program came from, but they also tested on soldiers with LSD, so that's probably where that comes from.
Yeah.
Here's the alternate definition that comes from the U.S. Department of Defense, and I feel like this is the real definition here. It's a planned operations to convey selected information and indicators to foreign audiences to influence their emotions, their motives, their objective reasoning, and ultimately the behavior of foreign governments, organizations, groups, and individuals.
That sounds a lot more.
So crazy. The purpose of psychological operations, which is what PSYOP is short for, is to induce or reinforce foreign attitudes and behavior favorable to the originator's objectives, which would be the United States government. It says see also psychological operations, overt peacetime psychological operations programs, and perception management, which I thought was pretty nuts, how you manage public opinion and all that. And this is your tax dollars. This is what we pay for. So I feel like when I was writing this information, I was like, ooh, should I be talking about this? No, we pay for this, so screw these guys. We can talk about it. It's it's our money that pays for all this stuff to make this happen. Check out their PSYOP seal, too. On the bottom, it says, to persuade, change, and influence. That's pretty crazy. So that's exactly what they do. As evidenced by this video. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I wonder how many PSYOPs are taking place right now. I imagine some take place on Facebook and...
Well, that's what I'm about to get into. They're saying
TV, radio, newspapers.
Like it's just happening in Iraq or something like that. Nah, I guarantee you they're turning that on the American people as well.
Of course.
It says there's multiple venues or ways PSYOP is used. According to this military recruitment video, this I'm probably just going to take a few screenshots of because I'm afraid of the military. And I don't want to have those guys come down on me. So I'm not going to play the video, but I will put the link up in the description. They show they have all of the tools of a major movie production studio. That's kind of crazy. So they have video editing gear, like big boards, and they have the people, operators to use them. They've got radio capability and gear. They've got internet monitoring and intervention people on staff. We assume, this is just my theory now, but I've seen pretty good evidence of it. We assume they infiltrate the discussions on the net to control the various movements, like, Flat Earth movement or 9/11 Truthers movement, and they also use that to control public opinion. So maybe they infiltrate a popular blog, and they don't have to get everybody. They just go right to the source where everybody gets their information. They dilute that pool, and then everybody drawing from it has diluted PSYOP information. And I guarantee you they're using this on the American people. I think they're involved in news that we see every day, film, movies, music, all this stuff. I think they have a hand in all this stuff. They also have really incredible green screen studios, which they use, I'm sure, to fake the news and all that stuff as well. All right. So there's a channel called New World. And he theorizes that the whole flat Earth movement is a PSYOP, and its use is to discredit 9/11 truthers. I think this is a good point, but I think he's being a little too hasty in throwing away the entire flat Earth theory so quickly. I personally haven't formulated an opinion yet, and I don't think it's fair to our viewers. I don't think it's fair to our viewers if we sit here and have one way or the other. I think we need to constantly reevaluate our theories until they're rock solid, and that's my stance on that. With the flat Earth theory, for example, there's so many very hard to deny facts. You got high altitude shots where it's a very flat horizon. You'd see some curve if you were up that high, no matter what Neil deGrasse Tyson says. Mile-high lump of water that doesn't exist in the Pacific Ocean. You got the fact that large buildings aren't wider on top than they are on bottom. You don't see the bottoms of the wicker basket of a hot air balloon going away from you, stuff like that.
The fact that the size of countries are misconstrued and presented to us.
That's a real fact.
Inaccurately.
I mean, the world map that we see, we covered it, I believe, in our last episode or the one before. That's not the world we live in. And it's... it could be close, but it's definitely not the world we live in.
Yeah.
So
I don't necessarily subscribe to the flat Earth theory, but I am willing to entertain any conversation because, as I said a couple programs ago, I don't know with hard evidence and with my own knowledge that the Earth is flat or round.
Yeah,
I've
I'm
obviously been taught that it's round my whole life,
yeah.
So it's hard to dismiss that. That teaching.
Altogether, right? I mean, I'm leaning toward flat Earth more and more every day, but I won't stand here and say that it's absolutely true because that's a disservice to our audience. I don't know it to be true for a fact. I don't think I'm not going to name names, but I don't think these other guys out there that are heading the movement know for a fact either. I think there's a lot of really significant evidence, and it needs to be paid attention to, but I don't think it's smart. I think B.O.B. is a perfect example. When you stick your neck out there and say it's true without having full facts backing you up, you're just going to get made to look like a loony tune or whatever, and people are going to discredit you. And
yeah, tinfoil hat.
Here's where the New World channel got it right. I feel like what they are doing, though, is there is a sect of the Flat Earth movement that's being tied with 9/11 truthers. And I think that it's hard to deny the 9/11 conspiracy if you're like the government or whatever, but it's easy to deny the Flat Earth thing. So they want to tie everything together so that when you come out against the government, they're going to say, this guy doesn't even believe in science, so he's obviously crazy. Disregard everything he says, and there goes the 9/11 truth as well. So I don't think it's fair to throw an entire well-researched theory away just because it doesn't fit your theory, I guess is what I'm getting at. I'm not trying to step on toes, but I'm just saying, we need to raise the bar here and be a little bit more thorough in our research. Just because something fits doesn't mean it's true or whatever. And I think these are the growing pains associated with waking up, and learning more about what's actually going on in the world. Now, that being said, I strongly believe the Flat Earth movement has been infiltrated. I think this is evidenced by the wildly differing theories and outcomes of the major players that are putting, or that the major players are putting forth, i.e., it's one dude has boiled this whole thing down to it's like just the Jews are perpetuating all this and stuff. You'll never catch me up here saying something like that. And let's take that for example. It's kind of a silly idea or whatever. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. I don't know. But it's for a fact that 99% of the, let's say, Jewish people out there have nothing to do with this. So you're just going to end up alienating or pissing off a gigantic group of people that largely have nothing to do with it. I think that the infiltrators are sticking to their mission, which is divide and conquer. They want to keep us in a constant conflict, and they want us always fighting with each other. I want, personally, to find the truth, and I firmly believe that there is strength in numbers. I think we need to focus on how we agree and not dwell on how we differ. And that's basically my 2 cents on the whole deal there. Now, we're getting ready to jump into the Q&A section here, Rach, but did you want to add anything here before we move?
No, I think that covers it.
All right. One thing to mention, though, before we move on, you mentioned before the show the Caitlyn Jenner thing. I think it bears, or it's worth mentioning that at least this gentleman here at the New World channel, he called 2015 the year of the transvestite, with the Caitlyn Jenner deal.
Yeah.
And
I was wondering if that was possibly, I wouldn't call it a PSYOP, but that definitely was a momentous kind of shift in the way everyone viewed the subject of transgender individuals.
The same thing happening with
she was just hailed as a hero.
That whole Vanity Fair deal.
I think there was a lot of kind of brainwashing going on.
Yeah, so they basically changed America's opinion on transvestites, which I thought was very forced. My opinion of transvestites aside, I think it was forced. It was just really crammed down our throats.
Yeah.
So
and I don't think either of us have a problem with it. It was just interesting to know. It was noteworthy because it was just in our face every day.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
24/7,
shoved in our face, like you said.
And then she won Woman of the Year too, which
did offend a lot of women.
I remember there was a cop or something from he was a 9/11 first responder. Well, his wife was,
and she'd saved a bunch of people on 9/11, and she'd won a Woman of the Year award a couple years, maybe a year prior. I don't know how many years prior, but her husband, because she received the award posthumously, her husband returned it after Caitlyn.
He gave the award
Woman
back.
Of the Year.
He said, "My wife wouldn't want to have anything to do with this." That's crazy. Yeah. I wouldn't want to have anything to do with it, to be honest with you. That seems I don't know. And the whole family with the whole keeping up with the Kardashians thing just seemed really forced. I don't know. And there's that whole scene where Kim Kardashian's trying to teach her or him or whatever. I got to use the correct pronoun now that we live in the age of the socially acceptable transvestite. So they were teaching her how to speak like a woman or whatever, and it was just forced. I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, they're just making sure hey, you guys like this from now on, right? All right, let's hop into Q&A before we get ourselves into more trouble here. Let's see that sweet Q&A graphic. All right, first comment comes from Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes. This was really cool. If you guys haven't heard, definitely check out this channel. She's huge. This is Patricia Steer. I've seen a bunch of her videos, and I've even seen, dude, who was it? It wasn't Mark Sargent. I think it was Eric Dubé. Somebody dressed up like a woman and impersonated her, which I thought was kind of bullshit. But hey, we're on your side, Patricia. And she said, "So glad I found this. Shared on Facebook and Twitter. Good work, Chris and Rachel." Hey,
thank you.
It's a really big compliment. You know, this is like a celebrity in the flat Earth movement.
We
She
can
found
probably
our
credit her to all of our subscribers and
that's what's
likes.
up. Yeah,
Thank you.
this last day here, we got like 15 new subscribers. So I think you might have had something to do with that. And
sure.
dude, hats off. Much appreciated. And thank you for helping us get the word out there. We really, really appreciate that.
Z Proxy says you should absolutely do a ISS green screen thing, and I couldn't agree more. I think that's a great
that'll be fun. I can't wait to do it. We're going to put ourselves, if you guys didn't check out the last episode, it was the deal with Scott Kelly on the Colbert Report, or no, my bad, Late Show with Stephen Colbert. And it looked really fake. So we decided we would fake the footage just the same way that they faked it, just to see how easy it would be. And so we're going to try to put me and Rachel up next to Scott Kelly in the interview there and see if we can give him some better dialogue than Kelly gave Colbert there. That was a really bland interview. ENFL says, thanks for another quality truth discussion. Your show has the potential to be successful. Keep it up. Surely the views will flow soon. You're more entertaining than most of the popular truth discussion channels. Hey, we really appreciate that, man.
Oh, I love our viewers.
Dude, you guys are
spelled your correctly. I just love it.
Yeah, Rachel's
it's pretty sad when your standards are just spelling, getting your right, and there and yeah. To. That's sad, you know. It really is, but thank you.
Hey,
I love all of our viewers. They're
America
so great, and they're
century.
offering really great information as well. Z Proxy says, great to find your show. Check out this remix of the same topic.
Yeah,
and he provides a website. Chris checked it out.
Yeah, I checked it out earlier today. It's a remix of the whole Tyson B.O.B. thing. We recommend you guys check it out. It's I think Z Proxy made it. Very cool and good to see you. Welcome to our comment section here, sir. I think this is the first time we've had him in the comment sections here. So welcome. Renslow says they're all liars. I'm guessing you're talking about NASA there. So I would agree with you. Del Betinati, welcome back.
He says, thanks.
This guy's making it in like every episode. That's what's up.
Del's awesome. We love Del. Thanks to both of you for being pros. Yes, James Collier's documentary covers a lot of information you won't find anymore. Your green screen idea is awesome. Can't wait. Thanks.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. What it do? What it do? Welcome back. He says, perfect timing, guys. Was about to fall asleep at work, lol. Dude, I want to know where you work. Get me an application. That job sounds awesome. If you can listen to our show at work, you got a good gig, man.
I like this one too. The Afterlife Now says, Scott and Mark Kelly are NASA clones. B.O.B. knows something we don't. Love Rachel Shades.
I can see why you like that comment.
That. We've got little palm trees.
So thank you so much, The Afterlife Now. And thanks for coming back. I think we saw you in one of the earlier episodes there. So welcome back. I'm loving the fact that people aren't just watching the show; they're coming back to watch more. We're building an audience here. That's what's up.
We're becoming friends now, you guys.
Yes, we're friends now, and you can't do anything about it. It's we're just friends for life from here on out. Renslow has another comment in here. He says astrotheology is what all holy books and the religions are based on. Jesus is the sun, and the 12 apostles are the houses of the zodiac.
He said religions, though. You have to.
Oh yeah, I get it. It's a play on words there. Yeah, well, I mentioned in the last episode, I'm not a huge fan of organized religion. I'm not completely turned off to the idea of there being a God, but I just personally don't subscribe to a particular organized religion. I don't know. Where do you sit on that whole deal with religion?
I mean, I was brought up as a Christian and
Same.
reading the Bible, and yeah, I know you went to Christian school for most of your life.
For a million years.
You know, I don't know. I think the Bible is open to a lot of interpretation, and I think that the teachings of the Bible are something that we can all, you know, get a lesson from.
Yeah.
And I like to believe that there is a God watching over us.
Yeah,
Steve
me too.
C, last one, says, definition of globalism, a natural policy of treating the whole world as a proper sphere for political influence. Compare imperialism, internationalism, and then globalist play.
Yeah, let me one correction there. It's a national
The
policy of treating.
pronunciation.
Yeah, actually, that's pretty interesting. So, just maybe the word itself is indicating that like globalism, part of it is like trying to push the hoax that the world is a globe. Maybe that's something that we kind of referred to in another episode. There, it's all worth some more thought. We're gonna do another Flat Earth episode here pretty soon. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode here tonight. Be sure to send us an email if you've got sensitive content. More and more people have been warming up to that idea there. If you got something really cool but you don't really want to post it in the comment section, feel free to send us an email. We got some good stuff from a dude named Steve this week, so we thank you, Steve. Since
if you
really
have some
bitchin'
juicy
NASA
secrets.
documents, dude. Like I got some really cool stuff. I'm digging into that now, Steve, and I will probably have something put together with that in the next couple episodes here. So I really appreciate that.
Does Steve want to remain anonymous? I hope not.
Well, I'm just using a first name. I don't know.
Just blew it.
Nobody
Okay,
needs
there
to
you
know. And that could be, I don't know, this Steve here. Who knows? Anyways, check out NASA, or please email that kind of stuff to nasafraudcast@gmail.com. Again, that's nasafraudcast@gmail.com. And feel free to check out the channel for new videos and updates. We're trying to release episodes now on Thursdays and Sundays, but we're not going to commit to that just quite yet. We're just trying to get as much content out as possible. But that's the NASA Fraudcast channel on YouTube. Be sure to check that out. And be sure to like and subscribe, of course. We've had some new subscribers this week, but we always could use more. Help us get the word out there. Share it with a friend. For all of us here at Space Erased, the NASA Fraudcast, my name's Chris.
And I'm Rachel.
And we thank you so much for watching, everybody.
Thank you for watching.
Have a great rest of your night, and thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Let's do one of those handshakes. Come on.